Welcome to the TPC Desktop video series. In this video, we're going to take a look at some of the options that are new to Traverse PC for formatting survey lines. These are new in TPC Desktop 2017 and part of our effort to bring in lots of requests that users have made on ways they'd like to format line labels. I've opened up a Learn Format Survey Line Labels. It's a sample file we now include with Traverse PC. And we're going to cover in this video auto, stacked, and aligned labels. So let's take a look at the drawing over here. And I want you to see that I've got a Traverse in black up here that says auto above and below. So I've told Traverse PC use an auto labeling style and put the labels both above and below the line. In the next Traverse down in blue, I've called this stacked and above. I've told Traverse PC stack the labels above the line. So we could stack them above, below, inside, outside, but I've chosen above here. And then in this green Traverse down here, I've said I want to draw these aligned above and below. So again, I'm going to split them above and below the line. Could have just as easily had them aligned above or aligned below entirely, but here we're going to split them. So let's come back up to the top one here in black, auto, above and below, and let's talk about this auto line style. I'm going to double click just anything that's drawn by this Traverse to open the Traverse settings dialog. The tangents in this Traverse are controlled by the control points in this case, and the curves and spirals controlled by the curve and spiral settings. So in the control point settings, I've told it I want distance and direction. And here's that style, auto. So I've pulled down the style and selected auto here. Auto says if the label fits on the line, draw it aligned, so parallel and next to the line. If the label doesn't fit on the line, then stack it next to the line. And if we look over here at these tangents, I see that here the first tangent does fit on the line, first label fits. So I've got distance above, the direction below. In this next line segment, I see that the segment's very short, so the label doesn't fit on the line. So Traverse PC stacked it. It was free to do that because my label style was auto. Let's come over here and click on the curves and spirals. And again, I see that the style is set to auto. Okay, I pulled it down and selected the style that I want. And if I look at the curves then, back in this first Traverse, I see that here I've got a long curve segment, and Traverse PC was able to fit the line label on that curve. It put the chord bearing and the central angle and the long chord above. It put the radius and arc length below. Okay, Traverse PC was able to fit those on the line. In this next curve segment, I see that the curve segment's short. So Traverse PC wasn't able to fit all that label on the line aligned or parallel to the line. So it stacked it, in this case, above the line. So that's what the auto style does. Auto style says, if I can fit the label on the line, draw it on the line. If it won't fit on the line, then stack it next to the line. And I could just as easily come in here and turn on leaders for both of these labels and apply that. And now I would have a leader showing me which line it went to. So if I were to move this label around later on, it would keep that leader there for me and I'd know which line it belonged to. Okay, that's the auto style. Now let's take a look at the stacked style. In this next Traverse in blue, I've told Traverse PC I want to stack all the labels and I want to force them to be stacked. So even if the label would have fit on the line, like in this first tangent segment here, I'm still going to stack it. I'm going to force it to be stacked. Same way with this curve here. We know that that label will fit there on the line if we draw it aligned, but we're going to force it to be stacked. And let's take a look at how we did that. So in the control point dialog box, we pulled down the style control and we chose stacked. We did the same thing in the curve spiral and we chose stacked as well. Now, Traverse PC is going to say, if I'm going to draw that label stacked, I'm going to go over here to the Format Label options. I'm just going to click this, and let's take a look real quick that each of these formatting dialogues has an aligned section, a stacked section, and then the characters we can use to create that label. In this particular case, I've told Traverse PC that if I align the label, I want to put the distance above and the direction, in this case bearing, below. And I did that by using this vertical symbol you'll find on your keyboard on the right-hand side. It shares the same key with the backslash. But Traverse PC is going to say if you're going to force the label to be stacked, or if I determine that the label won't fit, and I'm going to make it stacked, then I'm going to use this formatting instead. And this formatting says start with the distance, or the direction, the bearing. The backslash says then go down to the next line and include the next label item, which is the distance. Okay, so this is going to be bearing, drop a line, and then distance. And in fact, that's exactly how it shows up over here. Okay, here I've got my direction above, drop down a line, and then the distance. Now the other thing you notice about these is that I've drawn these stacked labels parallel to their line segments. And I selected that option again in the formatting. So let's go to the control points, format labels, and here in the stacked section, I see I've got a pull down for orientation. I can have parallel, perpendicular, horizontal, or vertical. And we'll cover some of this stacked label orientation in another video. So I'm just going to show you where it is right now. So Traverse PC says then, I'm going to draw all of these labels stacked. I'm going to put them above the line. I'm going to make the stacked labels parallel to the line. And when they're parallel to the line, its center justifies all the text. So really a neat way to get a lot of information in Traverse PC on these lines. Okay, let's drop down to the third one down here. This one is aligned above and below. So I'm telling Traverse PC I want to force all of these labels to be aligned, even if they don't fit. So again, let's drop into that Traverse Settings dialog, and we see that now I pull down the aligned style both for tangents via the control points and for curves and spirals. So I'm telling Traverse PC, go ahead and draw all of the labels using the formatting in the align section of the format dialog. So I want bearing first to be above the line because of this vertical symbol here. So everything to the left of that is above. And then I want the distance to be below the line because everything to the right of that is below. If I wanted to switch those, I would just put H first, then that vertical symbol, then a B for direction or bearing. So you've got lots of flexibility in how you want to format these labels, but by telling it aligned, I'm forcing them to all be aligned instead of letting Traverse PC stack them. Now, an interesting thing about both the aligned and the stacked is that they don't have to test to see whether the label fits. So on a really large survey, you're going to see these drawings render more quickly by forcing them to be stacked or aligned. So sometimes when I'm just working in draft mode and I want to get some things figured out quickly in the survey, I'm not really ready to start the drawing or wrap up the drawing, I'll switch to stacked or aligned just to make it a little bit faster. And then when I get to doing my final drawing and placing things where I want, I'll maybe switch back to this auto, and it'll allow me to start fitting labels onto the drawing a little more precisely.